figured I better come and learn about my dystopian future.
Well, you and I will both learn together. How about that?
All right.
Tell me who the mystery speaker is?
Ah, yes, I am. I am going to tell you. Yes, all will be revealed.
I'm sure it's not Julian McCoy.
No, because I don't know who it is. So it's definitely not that person.
This will be over my head.
Well, it's kind of all of our heads. So you're in good company, John.
Come see you.
We're recording, so.
With the Curiosity Unlimited the other day, it was, and sure enough, I didn't see you there, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was over there.
Morning, Alan.
Hey,
How you doing?
information.
Oh, yeah.
Grab a seat.
Alan.
Are you looking for Carey?
No. That was here. Practicing that. Possibly.
Library is
Spells practice. Coming. Yeah.
Should be here to learn a little bit. It's very scary.
Started here.
All right. Pick your place. That's what I saw, yeah, about 50 degrees.
That's it, wherever you need.
They gotta get the air rate.
I guess, well,
Yeah.
we can go in that way if somebody needs to come
Yeah.
in.
All right.
Eventually, somebody's gonna be in front of
I'm gonna find this out.
That's the coming.
Something about people are afraid to come to this.
This is the forum.
It's coming anyway, so we might as well find out what's going on.
Over there? No, I think I'll. What are they selling things? You know? I don't know. I usually buy something. Some food.
They're gonna talk about their experience.
Well, Molly Williams works with one of the older FBS. Yeah. Last year, and I get some things from her about how they're doing. You must be feeling kind of vulnerable with Washington allow them to stay or send them back.
Okay. They don't actually have to sit through the other side.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
move down this way.
Okay.
Maybe all the way down here.
It's about that time.
You still see it?
What was your profession?
Physics.
Yeah, something.
I was the education director, the Department of Education director that was mispronouncing it like that. She was like a former WWE World Wrestling CEO.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no, and that's who's I forget her name. And she was pronouncing it like A1.
A1 schools
Need more A1. She had no idea what
The
she was talking
government, yeah, the government.
Oh my gosh.
The head of the something was saying.
Who are her assistants, her handlers, to prepare her to at least pronounce it right? All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. Hello, thank you for coming to Forum. Some announcements quickly. Next week, on the 23rd, we have relatively new FCC members, Liz Matney and Kate Crandall, are going to be speaking on the Enneagram. We're going to be doing a multi-week workshop. It starts here in Forum, and it'll be a co-op with the Becoming group. So I think we're going to be planning to do some sessions there as well, but we'd love to have you do the kickoff here in Forum next week. And then the week after, on the 30th, is we have Chuck Benson back again. He did a lot of travel this past year, and so he's eager to give us the download. The title of that talk, Keith Critchlow, Spiritual Designer and Transcendental Creator of Sacred Spaces. We always love hearing our Chuck Benson speak. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming today to talk about AI with me. A reluctant user's field guide to an emerging technology. So I think maybe some of you saw in the email that it was listed as a surprise guest speaker. But who is it exactly? The speaker could not be here in person, and so I'm going to read their opening title, if you will. Pay no attention to some of the notes up here at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because today we're diving into the world of artificial intelligence, a realm where machines are learning faster than toddlers, arguing with more confidence than teenagers, occasionally misunderstanding us with the enthusiasm of a golden retriever. I'm fond of that. I have a golden retriever now. AI is no longer just the stuff of sci-fi movies or that one robot vacuum that keeps trying to escape your living room. It's an emerging technology shaping our future in real time, blah, blah, blah. I won't even read the rest. If any of you noticed, it's actually me today. And that is an actual prompt to an AI chatbot. I asked it to write me the opening paragraph for this forum. So herein lies some of the ethical boundary situations with AI that AI presents. So we're going to explore the depths of AI today. But who am I anyway? Most of you know me as the forum coordinator. I am a software engineer by trade. I write automation software in the manufacturing space, and as such, it does give me a little bit of an understanding of the issues of replacing human talent with machines. And AI is that next generation, unfortunately. I do tend to be a late adopter of technology. I was probably one of the last people to have a smartphone. So it's not as if I jumped all into AI. The internet as well. I remember when the internet came online after graduating college, and it was just in its infancy, basically. It was a good research tool, but it wasn't necessarily usable. So why am I qualified to stand up here and talk to you folks about AI? Well, I do use it in a daily profession in my job. I didn't intend to, but it's been kind of a mandated tool in the industry. And I have warmed up to the idea, speaking of that inertia with technology. I do try to avoid it in personal life. I sort of draw a boundary for myself. It's not the same for all people, but if I use it so much at work, I try to unplug from it in my daily life. And we'll talk some more about those details and the ethics behind that. So what is AI? I'm sure all of you have some sort of idea of what it is. It's in the news constantly. Let's just review it, shall we? Artificial intelligence is a collection of mathematical and computational techniques that allow machines to perform tasks that, here's the important part, normally require human cognitive abilities. That's the next generation leap in this technology. Software and technology in general has been emulating human behavior for a long time, but this technology really leaps that boundary. It recognizes patterns, makes predictions, understands language, and another key part here is generating ideas. This generation of AI that we are talking about mostly is generative AI. It's not just software that emulates a lot of these ideas, but it's generating new ones. And that's kind of the potentially scary part about AI. And we'll talk about that in more detail. AI is what happens when we give computers the ability to notice things, make informed guesses, adapt behavior based on experience. Instead of telling a machine exactly what to do, that was the old model of programming. You have to pre-program systems based on inputs and rules and so forth. Instead, we build systems that learn patterns from examples. And the examples portion, that's the crux of how AI works. It works on a very large language model. In other words, like give it access to all of Wikipedia.com, or all the dictionary, or all of some tech field, and let it research and digest all of that in order to produce new ideas. And this is the real key again. It produces results that we did not individually program, and that's the innovation of AI. Okay, fine, but what is it really? What are we really talking about? AI is pattern recognition at scale. So when we talk about scale, that's an important factor. You've probably seen in the news and in various cities across the US, very large data centers being built. Huge factories of computers all networked together. That is the scale that's needed. It takes a tremendous amount of power, it takes a lot of water to cool those systems. But you need a lot of computational power to emulate human brains and connect all that together in order to produce results at a very lightning speed timing. It makes statistical predictions, reasoning based on learned relationships, the relationships between pieces of information. And it's primarily a tool. I've highlighted that word. Right now, at this moment, where I'm leading into is thinking of it as a tool. It's a dangerous tool, but it is still a tool that generates responses. When I ask it to do things, kind of like the intro to my forum talk, to give me ideas. It can make images. I'm sure you've seen AI-generated imagery. That's becoming a thing. It can now make video. And this is my little area of the world. It can also assist me with code writing, which is a little frightening. Literary writing, using, again, known patterns. It's a way to compress and remix enormous amounts of data very quickly. What is AI not? We can review that. Okay, it's not actually a conscious entity, even though all the previous slides kind of make it sound like it is some sort of conscious thinking thing. It is, but it depends on what your definition of thinking is. A being with desires, not exactly. It's still just a machine. It's a lot of sophisticated software. Is it a perfect truth machine? It is definitely not. It's definitely not. There's a whole budding industry right now of deciphering AI output to verify it, to be sure that what you just read is true. So that muddies the waters even more. We'll talk about disinformation, the unfortunate outcome here a little later. It's definitely not a flawless logic engine. Because it is generative, because it's making new connections between information, as a result, there is the possibility of illogic problems, mistakes. They call that hallucinations sometimes in the AI world. So I'll show you some examples of that here too. And it's not a sci-fi robot playing humanity's doom. Even though it's great fodder for sci-fi and books. I love all that stuff, dystopian, but it's not actually. It could be, but it's not right now. Let's talk about where we find AI. So I've got two boxes here, good and bad, and we'll explore a little bit of the not completely bad side. So we've got communication and writing assistants. These tools are kind of exciting right now. This fits into the tool category of how I think about AI. Things like I showed you earlier, help me jog my memory, or help me kind of jumpstart the curse of the blank page and flesh out an opening paragraph. The danger there, though, is that if I rely on that too much, I can become addicted to that workflow, that thinking. If my go-to is to ask AI to do it for me to start, then I start losing the ability to do these things on my own. Data analysis and research, this is an exciting area right now in lots of industries. Like cancer research, and I'll show you an example here in a second. Mathematics is a really interesting field. There have been some very old problems in mathematics, in the deep math world, of unsolvable problems that humans have not been able to figure out. And they have given a lot of that research to AI, and AI has spit out some interesting ideas. on cracking some of those old math problems. Does that affect you and me? Not so much. Not unless we're a mathematician. It's a whole other level of math. However, it's undeniable that this tool can be used to crack some interesting old problems. Just about every app you see these days on your phone, every web service, you go to Google and they're pushing AI. Do you want to connect Gemini to your browser? Do you want to use the Alexa AI in Amazon? So the industry push is absolutely unmistakable. In the video game world, AI is kind of an exciting innovation there too. Even word processors, like weird places you wouldn't expect AI to be, it's kind of everywhere. Like I said, image and video generation. We'll show you some examples of that here in a little bit. Workflow and productivity tools. This is pretty cool. In the corporate world, it's not uncommon, or maybe even in your private life, to get in a long email chain. Lots of people replying back and forth, and before long you've lost the thread of what were you talking about. There are some interesting tools to ask AI to read this entire email chain and give me a digest, give me a summary of what it is we're talking about. And that can be useful, especially in the corporate world. Yes, making outlines and presentations of these are. Okay, now let's look at the bad column. The possibly bad to outright criminal. We can't talk about AI without at least highlighting some of these. Emotional support, friendship partners. That's a little disturbing right now in the AI world. We hear stories about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They've all been hurt enough by social media, and now we have AI to add to their psychic issues. But being further distanced from real life emotional relationships, and instead of relying on an AI chatbot to have a conversation that they're not getting in real life. So that is definitely disturbing, something to keep an eye on, especially for those of us with children. Talk therapy is on the rise too, actually using AI as a talk therapist tool. And that too, I can't see that possibly ending well. I think it's probably too early right now. It seems to be just starting, but we're going to see here soon. We have the largest live experiment in the human population with AI, so we will find out. Election interference. This is an interesting one, and all kinds of political ethics that are a result, like deepfakes. There have been examples just recently of campaign videos. You'll see this especially in like the Twitter, the social media world, not necessarily in the wider audience, but a lot of campaign videos that are being produced that have video of like Brock or whomever saying things that they were not there saying those, and so it causes a lot of disinformation, and so we have to be on guard with those tools to sniff out AI and what's real, what's not. Just recently, this is a good one, good example. The No Kings March recently, and Trump's rather inelegant response to the march was the poop video. Did anyone see the poop video?
Yes.
Yeah, that was AI generated.
Yes.
And it, for the most part, looks photorealistic. Obviously didn't have it, right? The man's not a fighter jet pilot. And what all that says, the opportunity for this kind of technology to make convincing videos, even if it's for a joke, there's all kinds of implications there about what it says about our political process and how we get along and relate to each other. So this next election cycle and every election hereafter is going to be interesting to see how AI influences voters. Voice cloning scams. This is an interesting area of AI that is potentially going to be fraught for all of us. There is the ability to have convincing audio generation of loved ones. If a scammer gets access to your email and knows your contacts, they can find your phone number. They can find that you're connected to another person. They can maybe find clips of that person online to duplicate their voice and then call you. you might be having a real-time phone call with what sounds like your loved one asking for money. So, if it wasn't hard enough before, thankfully before, in the old days, before AI, scams were kind of easy to catch, right? We all are accustomed to the Nigerian prince scams and the broken English in the emails, the text. You know that those are scams. The next generation is going to be a lot harder. So, this area, revenge porn. Does anyone know what revenge porn is? It's a dark area. It's before AI. Revenge porn was all about a jilted ex-lover or partner getting revenge on their ex by posting videos and pictures that were real, highly illegal. But the next generation with AI, you can imagine, could be all the more bleak. And then, of course, CSAM. It's a minor internet-related crime. Content that's it's highly illegal, but with AI, it's even more potentially dark, and we have to be on the lookout, And so I've listed a link here for reporting internet crime. So AI has all these possibly good, powerful benefits, and a whole lot of dark, unfortunately. And such is the case with all tools.
Yeah, I thought I would add in response to the talk therapy point.
Yes.
There is some kind of early evidence that people who engage in that friendship talk with AI or try to use it as a therapist, there's some early evidence that the outcomes there are pretty bad.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not at all qualified to speak on that. I just know of it. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it was the American Psychological Association, but I think they just come out Friday or something with warnings.
Yeah, there's been some individual cases with really bad outcomes that yeah.
We're going to get into some detail here in the next few slides that drill down into perhaps why that is. I can hazard a guess, but there are some specific ways in which AI, like in chatbots, how it interacts with you and how it confirms biases, and it never says you're wrong, it never pushes against you, and so I can imagine that it can't be a good recipe for talk therapy, psychotherapy. Okay? So let's look at some examples from the good column, right? This is a news OPR line here from my company. I work with Thermo Fisher Scientific. And just last month, they, along with a lot of other large Fortune 500 companies, have forged a partnership with OpenAI. And their goal is to specifically plug it into clinical trial business. Thermo Fisher is a science-based company. They do a lot of things from vaccine deployment, transportation, to laboratory equipment and so forth. And so they're using AI to do research-based exploration, drug development, and so forth. So that's could be exciting, especially if it gives good outcomes for humans. That's pretty good. I mentioned earlier that AI is plugging into your browser and all sorts of things. So this is an example of an AI-generated video. It's a sci-fi domain. I'm just going to show you kind of real quick. If you haven't already seen AI video, there's a lot of interesting possibility. It's very photorealistic. You've got hair physics happening here. Lots of reflection and lighting, the lighting on her skin tone. It's pretty remarkable. There's the complexity here. Lots of there's sun reflection here on this road. That's just a real quick clip. There's a lot out there that you can find on YouTube and wherever. You don't have to look that hard. In the digital arts world, video and photo, digital creators, I sympathize with them right now. Because when they watch these, they've got to be sweating, thinking that what they did before. This was created with a couple of tools, AI video generating tools. Midjourney is one, Google Veil 3. So these are just some examples. Here's another funny little side topic. This is a photo of my son Gus's chess set. This is an authentic, he bought it off eBay. This is really fun. It's a 1987 Radio Shack computerized chess set. And it's great, and it still works. Really good engineering. And it's old school video games, you know. It's a board game mixed with a video game. There's a processor in here, it's really funky. I'm sure you know all about this deal. You know, it's a very small processor. And in the old days, the idea of playing the computer in your video game, you know, what that meant was something like this or a software application on an old Apple II has pre-programmed instructions to play you. And that was a form of early software automation, right? It was emulating human behavior based on a known entity like the rules of chess, but it's highly structured, right? Those rules are defined clearly. So there's not a lot of innovation per se. It just has the strength of the game pre-programmed and can play it, right? So that's all kind of cut and dry. It was very cool at the time, and it sure seemed like the future. But now, in the post-AI world, in the video game space, there's all kinds of opportunity for, you know, doing interesting, creative things. There's this whole meme online of NPCs. Anyone know what that means? Hey, gamers. Yeah, of course, here.
Non-player character.
NPC means non-player character.
Wow.
And in a role-playing game on a computer or a PC or what have you, you'll be, you know, going around your world, exploring things, right? And there'll be some little creature or character walking around in the background. It has nothing to do with the game. It's just kind of filler that makes the world feel real, right? That was an NPC. In the pre-AI world, the NPCs would sometimes wander around and bump into walls because they weren't really programmed deeply. There's not enough computing power in that one game to make all those side characters, you know, fleshed out and fully formed. Well, now in the AI world, you have the ability to make all of those characters, all 10,000 of them in a game, have fully, you know, realized worlds and identities, and they can kind of do whatever they want to do without having to pre-program them. So it's kind of an interesting possibility. When we talk about emerging technologies, I think for myself, what I'm focusing on is how they're imperfect, possibly disruptive, and oftentimes incorrect. So let's just kind of highlight some of those areas in which all of those can be true. There's the possible spread of disinformation with AI. The trouble with AI is that it presents information with a certain air of authority. So therefore it can be hard to discern truth from fiction or truth from inaccuracy. What you'll see when you interact with an AI chatbot is that it just comes across as if you're reading a Wikipedia page. It just has this kind of feeling of truthfulness. And I think that the issue with anything on the internet in general, like we've gone through this problem in the early days of the internet, that if you saw something published, a certain subset, a certain population would read things on the internet and just assume it was true, right? It was just this default, you know, instinct to believe what they were reading. Well, now with AI, that issue can be accelerated. Chatbots rarely say, I've been using AI for a while now, and I rarely come across a chatbot counteracting me real hard, like saying you're wrong, or that's incorrect, or if I work hard enough to correct the chatbot, if it's going in the wrong direction, and I say, no, that's not what I want, I have to work pretty hard to get it to say, oh, yeah, you're right, I went off in the wrong direction. And so that does not help, especially in the realm of talk therapy, right? It's always going to tell you what you want to hear. Yes, you're right. Then that's potentially a problem. Yes, please.
And they seem to always start off by telling you what a great question you just asked.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and that's not a mistake. You know, that's definitely, you can kind of feel the corporate America side of AI. You know, that their influence there of like, let's start by flattering the user. Let's start by telling them that they're the smartest. Oh, what a great question. Yes, in fact. And now go on with my answer. And so then I feel good. There is a little bit of a dopamine hit there. Oh, well, thank you. I have felt that. When I'm working with an AI chatbot on some code for work, I have felt that feeling, and I can't deny it. So yes, that was a good question. Well, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, my Tuesday lesson in my journalism class, I would show them this AI-generated article
Yeah.
that I created about Lund Park, and all the facts in it are wrong.
That's interesting.
And so I use it as a lesson to teach them how important fact-checking is,
Mm.
and that they can't immediately recognize that it's AI-generated.
Yes.
In my last section of this class, they were like, "Did you write that? I don't know who wrote that. It looks right."
Sure.
And it was all fake.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's an excellent example. Because humans are not inherently great fact checkers, especially in real time. And so when you read a bit of text that, like I say, looks like it could come from Wikipedia or what have you. Well then, yeah, okay, that sounds right. Okay, yeah, let's use it. Any other questions? Yeah, we kind of covered that. A little note here about why AI could be so much more dangerous is that it's not a linear advancement. It's not like going from a rock to a hammer. Yeah, that's a marginal improvement. It's more like hammer to power drill, jackhammer. It's an exponential increase in possibility. And so that's what makes it inherently dangerous. There's the potential of job loss. So that's kind of a no-brainer, right? We're looking at Amazon just recently laid off 18,000 people, and they claim it wasn't for AI. That may be, but a lot of those people in that tranche of layoffs were executives. They're higher ups, and so I think corporate America now has this. Now that we're a couple years into the use of AI, they're now seeing like, they've got their sights set on people that have these jobs that are like admin, type jobs that are, document creators. If their job is solely writing text, it's probably time to retrain yourself. Right? So AI can replace copy editors, graphic artists, software coders. Oh yeah, that's me. Then what? What's going to happen? I mean, eventually we could be looking at UBI, universal basic income. If we lay off 18,000 employees, UBI stands for Universal Basic Income. I'm just daydreaming here. I don't know what's going to happen, right? That's up to our politicians and corporate America to decide what they want to do with it. If they continue to lay off people in blocks of 18,000 every quarter, we might be having to get creative on how we think about employment. Or how we think about regulation. Let's get serious about having some limits to how much AI can be used for a company, okay? In the interest of the employees. If you've got no employed people in the world to buy the product that you're making, what does it do? To automate the heck out of it and streamline and fire people. Incorrect information results. So let's look at some examples of that. I talked earlier about the word hallucinations. That's the term that's been applied to AI when it kind of loses its way and gets really confused. In the realm of image creation, it's already been about 2 years ago. Going around the internet, there was a lot of interesting examples of AI-generated images. When a lot of interesting, it's like it looks real, but it's not. There's something wrong with
left hand.
Okay, yes. What's going on with the left hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the early days of AI images, it could not figure out fingers. And this itself is an interesting, psychological. We're getting into the psychology of the machine that we made. Like why? Why does it have a hard time with fingers? And there are lots of articles that came out about the details, the minutiae of why that was. But anyway, and then there's something about the kind of vampiric about the teeth. There's too many.
Right, too many teeth.
Yeah, the cheekbones are really, really defined. They're never mind that they're basically twins. Kind of creepy, what the heck's going on here? It's like a stuff of nightmares almost. Here's another example of too many fingers. This is a little better. It's a person making some bread dough, but oops, whoop, we slipped my finger. Yeah, look at that. So that one's not so bad. It's not so offensive, especially because it's not a face. Humans are really good pattern recognizers of our faces because that's our soul, right? How we interact with people. And so if you're going to have AI make a face, it better be really good. Right? We can detect the mistakes in faces, no problem. Chatbot errors. Oh, there's so many examples, but here's some recent highlights. This was kind of going around the internet for a little while, a few months ago. Glue on pizza. Glue on pizza. Yeah, believe it or not, Google, their product, Gemini, it actually suggested adding non-toxic glue to pizza cheese to make it stick. Yeah. So some of these mistakes are easy to detect. It's the insidious, tiny ones that we've got to be on the lookout for. But these are the fun ones. Incorrect facts and statistics. For a while, I was claiming that Gouda was half of the world cheese consumptions. Pythons or animals. Fabricated legal citations. This is a really good one. This one's serious too. Okay, so lawyers submitting legal filings containing citations to non-existing cases. That happened just recently in the Trump world.
Yeah.
And so that's happening. And if you have a group of people, be it professionals of some form or lawyers, that are trying to get something done fast, they don't have a lot of time, maybe there's a lot of pressure to submit a legal filing, to sue. Well, they'll crank out some crap, and thank goodness that just enough judges or legal assistants are reading the fine print and verifying. Outdated information errors. For a while, this was going around. I claimed that Pope Francis was sitting pontificate after his death. Harmful stereotypes. That's another area that is concerning. If we don't have good limits and regulation on AI usage, yeah, you're going to start seeing stuff trickle out. Because note that AI again is relying on all this data that we give it. Let's give it the entirety of Wikipedia. Let's give it areas of the internet that have already been really fraught with white nationalist diatribes. It's going to pull that in, right? And that might inform some of its stereotyping. Here's a real recent example, though. Fox News ran a report on the Snap shutdown and actually promoted an AI-generated video of black women, with racist stereotypes included. So, some of this stuff slips through and makes it onto the mass media, and then you do have problems because a lot of folks are not plugged into AI. But if they're getting it by these indirect means, that's a possibility, right? So you might be passively affected by AI even if you don't use it yourself. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's get to how I actually use it. Because I'm not an expert on AI. This is just so far, the slides I've shown you have just been my interactions with AI and observing things. How I use AI, I'm a software developer. And AI is a software development as dynamite is to money excavation. It is very powerful. I can do things very quickly. But with writing code, if I don't test it very well, I can blow things up. So I have to be very, very careful in how I use it. In the before times, when I was first starting out in engineering, research looked like pocket reference books. I still have all my pocket reference books. I will not get rid of them because they're awesome. Yeah. And I think in the way that the kids these days, they love the 80s in terms of style, it's all coming back, so I'm going to keep my pocket references. And we all had personal libraries. All of us engineers, we had personal libraries. Here's some of the books that I've got in my library still. They're collecting dust right now, but I still got the books. Google search engines, that's an example. Stack Overflow. So this is a really great resource that a lot of us software developers have used. And it's like an internet forum, and you would write a question to a specific problem you had and hope that other users would write a reply. And that's how we've done software development for a long time. Every developer that I've known will confess that they do use tools like this. Now, is that cheating? You know, sometimes you want quick advice to a specific problem that you have that you may not be able to find in a book. So a reference like this is pre-AI.
Yeah.
This was an evolution to, just look it up in a book, So ethically, is that a problem? I remember in the early days, there were bans on using forums like this.
Why is that?
Because it was not pure enough. That's my take. It's not pure. Or it was relying too much on other people's code. If you have to ask some random person on the internet how to do that, maybe you don't belong here.
Yeah.
That question would come up in job interviews. How often do you use Stack Exchange? StackOverflow.com. How often do you Google for answers as opposed to relying on your own education? And that was an issue. I remember that clearly, and it was kind of like a best kept secret in a way that everyone would be like winking a nod, like, oh yeah, I never use that. Here you go. Now I say that, with a twinkle, but now that we're post AI, how bad is this compared to AI usage? And I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. So I know there's a lot of interesting ethics involved with AI that caused me to look backwards. How did I do things before AI? Back when we had a problem with this solution, you ain't say nothing yet.
Yeah.
Just wait. AI is going to make that look antiquated. If I can just ask the computer, write this algorithm for me. And I do that every day. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but AI, for me, does very interesting things that do improve my efficiency, undoubtedly. It can give me very stunning focus on my actual specific problem, whereas with the research method, going onto forums, and I might get, 75% close to what I'm actually trying to do, but it's close enough, and then give me another 3 hours, and I'll hammer out the actual solution. Now, I can tell it, this is what I'm actually doing. Help me out. I'm a little bit stuck, or I've done this algorithm 100 times. I don't need to do it again. I feel confident enough with my expertise. I just need to get this done in 10 minutes. And so it can do it for me. So it's very razor precise about its solution. I'll show you in a minute here, but it's had a very detrimental effect to websites like Stack Exchange and Stack Overflow. Go ahead.
I find it interesting, just specifically in your line of work as well, where it's like, all of those other things, don't use this, don't use that, rely on your own, and now it's almost kind of the opposite. You're being encouraged,
Yes.
like, embrace this, use this.
That's a very good observation. Yeah. I should have closed that circle. The difference now is we're being encouraged to use AI. It's a corporate mandate. Thermo Fisher, my company, they've gone in with OpenAI. We're not forced to, but they are talking about it nonstop. There are workshops, trainings to join all week. There are opportunities for training for all of its 100,000 employees to how to use AI in your job. We want you to be more efficient, so that we can probably fire half of you. But yes, that's a very good observation. It's completely different now. Like I said, example code. This one's very eerie. I have examples of this, even just recently, days ago, where I wanted to kind of split the difference with AI, as opposed to saying, just do this for me. I don't feel good about myself, I don't want to completely hand over my job to AI. So instead, what I said is, what? I have done this kind of, this one little project. I've done it about, 50 times before. So it's no longer a learning exercise for me. So I gave it example code that I wrote. Here is 3 examples that I've written. Do this new project written in my style. And it did. Now, it required me still to debug it.
Right.
I can't just click go.
Right.
No, that'd be foolish. So right now, they still need me, thankfully. Right now. I have to debug their code and make sure that it really does. And in most cases, probably 90% of those cases, it's not quite right. You say, okay, wait, that's a misunderstanding. What I really want you to do is this. And so there's a lot of back and forth to kind of hone it. but it did leapfrog me to the solution written in my own style. So there's a lot of ethical questions there, I'm sure. It's a great teaching tool. I've learned a lot in the process. I've learned about some coding techniques and interesting ideas, confirming and disconfirming my own understanding. So let's go back to the example of Stack Overflow. That's the internet website that we used to use to get help from other career developers. So back when it first started in 2008, huge popularity. There was a definite need in the industry for collaboration, other developers asking peers for help. Obvious need. Huge climb. And then natural plateauing here. That's kind of not unexpected, really. COVID. That's an interesting correlation right there. COVID happens. We're all in lockdown, and all of us are rapidly training, taking a look at what we need to do to ramp up our careers. We've got nothing else to do. So yeah, there's a big spike there. And then AI. My God, look at this. Look at this bell curve. Isn't that something? I don't go to Stack Overflow.com that much. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep. I don't have to go there. There's some other troubling underlying realities about how AI got so smart to help me do my job. Where do you think it got all its information?
Stack Overflow.
It got it from Stack Overflow and all the other websites. Sometimes illegally, and there are some active court cases right now, some legal filings about that, about the IP, the intellectual property that Stack Overflow owns. When I submit, in their terms and services, when I submit my question to Stack Overflow, they own that. But that's okay, because that's my understanding, my exchange. In order for me to get an answer to my question, that's okay, you can own my question, and the answers are owned by them too. But then these AI crawlers, when they're learning what they learn, they're crawling through Stack Overflow. So they're just taking all that information, stealing it or not. I don't know what those partnerships look like, but it can't always be ethical.
I'm sure it's not a partnership.
I'm sure it's not.
Is this a problem for corporate secrets and
Yeah, you bet.
state secrets?
Yeah, state secrets, that's a whole other topic right there. Thank you for the question, Royce. I got an email question submitted this morning before forum by Judith Rice Jones, and she told me, don't forget to talk about warfare, AI warfare, as if we don't have enough to worry about. And that is an item that I didn't include in the bad column. But the future of war might be, we already have drones, and that's like the next generation of war. AI, the usage of AI in war, I don't want to think about that too much. It reminds me of the movie War Games, the old movie War Games, where they're at a terminal and they're asking it to play games. It's tic-tac-toe. But the underlying idea of the sci-fi was great and foretelling the future for sure. Question?
Now, are you suggesting that AI is dying out instead of expanding exponentially?
Other way around. AI is the result of this pre-AI website. It's a result of its decline.
Because of AI,
Because
Stack Overflow.
That's right. I don't have to go here anymore. Oh, sorry. I don't have to go to stackoverflow.com and type in. It would have a search console. And I could type in, I'm working in C, and I got this data structure, and how do I return a variable, blah, 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 right? All these details specific to my needs. I'm stuck. And then it would return us a bunch of results from other professionals that have something similar. But not quite.
So you're suggesting this was an alternative to AI?
So, no. Oh, yeah, it was. It was an alternative before AI. Before AI.
All right.
And with the rise of AI.
Understood.
Yep, okay. So now Stack Overflow is done. That's the gist here. So at this point, I can show a demo. Let's see how this works. I ran into a limit of the number of, with the free subscription to some of these AI tools, you can't do too many things for free, such as the leasing our data from everybody, that era. And so I ran out. So I'm going to just try this in Gemini instead. I think I won't have a limit there. So I've got some data here that I downloaded from our forum website. We use a service that catalogs like attendance. And the idea with an AI chatbot is I can upload data files like statistics and have it kind of crunch the data and give me interesting observations about the data. So I'm going to ask it something like, tell me about the attendance to my forum group. Plot the results. Skip the months where we didn't meet. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's grinding away. It's taken my 2 files. I downloaded these files again from the church website that compiles attendance and attendees. And it's grinding. Let's see what it comes up with. Notice that the details here in my chat are specific about what I'm wanting. Okay, I'm going to tell me about this. Even though that's kind of vague, it's sort of specific, but it's kind of vague. I'm kind of leaving the door open. And then here's where I get a little more specific. I'm asking it to plot the results. Oh, look at that. Huh. Let's maximize that. Isn't that something? From just a couple of files. And I can show you the inside of those files, but they're rather boring. They're just an export of attendees. There's like a column for the week that forum took place and what the numbers were. And then it took all that and intuited from my kind of vague questions in a human fashion, like I was talking to a person, right? If I was talking to a software application before AI, I'd fall on its face, right? There's not enough specifics. You have to get really specific. But now I can use plain English like I'm talking to Eric. Hey, Eric, did you get those numbers I emailed you? Yeah, I got them. Can you plot it for me? It's that kind of exchange. So that's both frightening and extremely powerful at the same time. So how do we feel about it?
And then what your data tables were,
yeah,
you uploaded.
Yeah.
You could ask it to do things like rearrange the data to the in order of the attendance. You could ask it look for patterns in the topics of the most highly attended forums and the least highly.
Yeah, that's where the data analysis gets really exciting. Is that humans are good pattern recognizers, not this good. And when you have a whole server farm in Wyoming, it's massive, 10 gigawatt server farm that's able to do this fast, because it's like harvesting the power of all those computers together. Then it can do those really interesting deep dives into analyzing your data analytics. It's a whole field. Tell me about why was this week so popular? What did we talk about? I don't know. Let's do that again. Maybe let's coordinate it differently so that it's not all those kinds of interesting data questions. There is power there. Yes.
I was wondering, is now an okay time to make a comment about how this is showing up in higher education?
Oh, please, yes. That's a whole area I didn't even really talk about.
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, I started teaching around 2015 in higher education at Colorado College, then got my PhD, and now I teach at SMSU Pueblo, and I teach English classes and journalism classes. So 2 areas where this is really relevant to students' experiences. And what we're finding in higher education right now is that in spite of the really powerful things that AI can do, we're seeing that the effects on students are pretty negative. And there was a study that came out, I think last spring from MIT, that was showing that if students are using AI tools to do their writing, they don't end up learning to write on their own. And so my policy for my journalism class is like, okay, let's learn how to use AI tools for editing, for finding gaps in our articles that we might need to gather some additional information for. But let's not use it in the actual drafting process yet, because you won't learn how to write your own articles. And my students believed that, and they've honored that policy. I also teach an online class where I don't see the students face to face. They've been turning in completely AI generated papers, and I can recognize it instantly. And I just can guarantee you they're not learning from that.
Yeah.
And so it's left educators kind of at a loss for what to do, because Gen Z, which is the generation that I predominantly teach right now, they already have a lot of negative impacts from social media isolation, which you alluded to earlier. I appreciated that. They really struggle with communicating with each other in ways that I haven't seen before.
Interesting.
And they also struggle with writing in ways that I haven't seen before, and it makes me concerned overall. So it's tough, and they also are entering this job market where they don't know what it's going to look like.
I'm glad you mentioned the job market. I want to make one addition there if I could. Thank you, educators.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for you, even more now. If it wasn't hard enough before, to now be entering this minefield and how to suss out, how to educate the kid, the person, while trying to leverage technology, because there's a lot of push to use technology, I think, generally in the educational world. But now trying to split that difference between using it but not letting the tool destroy the kid because they can't learn now. They're stunted, absolutely.
And then with the policies that I'm subject to, I can't actually directly accuse them of using AI. There's some policy things against that, so I have to go in and try to point out what's ineffective about the writing.
Wow. Making the job even harder.
It's added hours and hours to every week, and so it's led me to conclude that this is not going to be sustainable for me moving forward.
Yes.
And so now I'm transitioning to a career in social work where I'm hopefully going to be able to help people with the consequences of this.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. You're right. One other last thought is I should have given a caveat about my usage and my entrance into this world. And thank you for bringing that up, because I recognize that I have a lot of privilege by fluke of when I was born. Okay? I'm 52, entering the professional world of AI right now. I'm lucky, because I already learned the hard way.
Right.
I spent all night in an engineering lab, several nights every semester, doing the hard work. I didn't have anyone writing code for me. I had my lab partners, and we wrote it together at 2 a.m. So I cut my teeth, and now I have the privilege of using this hot shit new technology, and it benefits me because I already know how to do this. That's different. And these kids, my kids, thinking they know everything because they can ask a machine to do it for them. That's a whole other playing field. So I recognize my privilege there. Question?
I was just going to say, from kind of the backlash of the kind of pendulum swings, now we're seeing in high school, English teachers are making the kids write their handwrites.
That's great.
But it's hard because they never learned cursive, thinking they were just going to type. So they can type like the wind, but now they're asking to writing things to avoid AI. But it's just very interesting kind of how the pendulum swings.
There is a backlash happening.
One other quick note about the job market side of this. I didn't even talk about that. That's a really fascinating thing that's happening right now. Thank goodness I'm employed, and I don't have to think about this. But there's a lot of push, a lot of temptation to have AI write my resume, or at least I'll give it my resume, make it better, make it prettier. Why not? If all 10,000 other people that are competing for this job are doing it, you better believe I'm going to do it. But then on the other side of it, though, just one second, Wendy, on the other side of it, the recruiters and the companies are using AI to read the resumes.
Yeah. It makes it so much harder for people to get to the level of getting an interview.
So now the machine has both sides of the loop, of the circle. Because I kind of don't blame them either, because there's the job market right now. I'm sorry, Mr. Taco, but it's not great. and lots of job cuts, and so there's a big influx of candidates. So I've got 10,000 resumes to read. Heck no, I'm going to give it to the machine. So they're writing both sides of it. Question here?
Yeah, being an older user,
Yeah.
how do I recognize what's AI and what's not? And what's real?
Yes, I wish I would have added some tools. I'm going to update my slides, and you guys can all have access to them if you'd like. That's a great question. There's a burgeoning field of AI detectors out there. I bet you know all about it.
Yeah, I can give a really quick tip.
Great.
So oftentimes AI-generated writing will sound like it's written by a public relations professional. It sounds like corporate robot speak. It doesn't consider complexities or downsides to an issue. It has a specific structure it'll use where it'll give an introduction, and then the concluding paragraph will say overall. Which says overall. And so there's some, yeah.
I'm thinking about like on Facebook or on, you know, all this
Yes.
political stuff that comes up. It's like
Little news
how do I
headlines.
know which is real and which is not.
Yeah, I think if it comes to like news-related posts on social media, you might think, is this actually coming from CNN.com? If it's coming from a corporate media site, not that I'm a big fan, but at least there's the chance of a big corporation vetting information. So you've got a better chance. If it's some random website and the URL is kind of strange, you know, newsstuff.com, who's that? Yeah, it's probably not worth your time.
You just have to double check stuff.
Yeah, you do. You do.
You have to, whatever is coming off on the screen, you have to go back to sources that you have traditionally understood as being reliable and see if those sources confirm what you're being told.
Especially if your instinct, if there's any instinct in you that says, I don't know, that's probably a hold on to that. You know?
And in my life, I have to ask myself, do I really care about what this article's about? Do I really care? I'm not going to
That's a good point.
time on it.
That is the other piece.
In some ways,
Does this really matter?
the social media generation primed us all for the AI generation. The social media generation gave us this new instinct to just be spoon-fed. I'm already activated on this side of the political aisle. Just give me more of that dopamine, right? And now the AI generation, it slips in some false information. Oh, now I'm even more activated. Give me more. So it's a bit dangerous.
Well, one thing that you can do is cross-check several AIs at the same time.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not
Agencies or something.
Yeah. There are some AI-related tools to help validate information, and I should have included that. But,
I've got a very good tool. It's called Mage AI, and for $20 a month, it gives you access to no less than 50 different AI products.
if it's worth it to you, $20 a month, I don't know. Nothing beats the good old-fashioned college try and elbow grease, and vetting personally, and vetting information yourself. If you can find 2 corroborating bits of evidence to back up something, then that's a pretty good degree of confidence.
Sorry, I'm just so passionate about this.
No, please.
So I thought I would say one more thing. So regarding the intersections between AI use and mental health, I think what's coming to light is that if somebody has a disorder such as bipolar or like a more intense case of anxiety, using ChatGPT can become this addictive process that really exacerbates symptoms.
That's true.
It can cause somebody to have a psychotic break. There's been a couple of suicides associated with it. It's a really serious issue.
Yeah, that's true. And in those cases, that AI chatbot, you could argue pretty well that chatbot kind of pushed them over the edge. It kept telling them what they wanted to hear. And if you want to go down that rabbit hole, it's you can read all about that. It's scary and
That's
dark.
happening in my family with my grandkids.
Really? That's right.
They're now 13, and they already have problems.
Yeah.
So they turn all that.
Anxiety.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Sure.
You lose them. I mean, it's really hard to not lose them.
If there was never a better argument for parental controls, it's right now.
Yes.
So I think that takes us to the end of our hour, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
luck, everybody.
Yeah, good
Yes.
luck.
I wish you well. I'm just stumbling along like you are.